Every second counts. Discipline as the path to growth. Discipline is not something you visit once a day, like a gym, a meeting, or a fleeting moment of motivation. No. Discipline must live within you, woven into the fabric of your choices, threaded through every minute, every heartbeat, every breath you take when no one is watching. Train yourself, not just for the milestones, not just for the applause or the finish line, but for the quiet seconds in between. Because those seconds, they matter more than you realize. They are the soil where growth takes root. Growth does not come only in grand gestures. It doesn't wait for a perfect sunrise or a convenient schedule. It arrives quietly, in the whisper of a decision, in the split-second pause between action and excuse. You must discipline yourself to grow, relentlessly, patiently. Not just in the obvious moments when it feels heroic, but in the moments that feel like nothing at all. Because each second is far from empty. Each second is a fork in the road. One side paved with ease, the other with effort. One side offering comfort, the other offering challenge. You stand at that crossroad constantly, more often than you notice. With every scroll, every skipped task, every delayed effort, every surrendered promise. You are choosing, actively or passively, who you are becoming. Discipline is what teaches you to notice that choice, to be conscious of it, to stand in it fully, and to answer it with intention. Do you stay in bed 5 minutes longer? Do you put off the task for the 4th time today? Do you give in to the voice that says, just this once won't hurt? Or do you rise, even when you don't want to, even when no one is holding you accountable, even when no one would blame you if you didn't? This is the true test, not in a single grand act of willpower, but in 1,000 invisible decisions. That's where character is built. That's where transformation happens. That's where the future is forged, 1 second at a time. Discipline is not loud. It does not need to be. It is quiet strength, the whisper that says, get up, keep going, do it anyway. And every time you listen, you become stronger, not just in body, but in resolve, not just in performance, but in identity. You don't need perfection, you need presence, you need awareness, you need the courage to stand in every second and ask yourself, what would the best version of me do right now? Then do that. Again, and again, and again. Discipline yourself to grow, not just in the highlight reel of your life, but in the unseen hours, in the ordinary moments, in the seconds that pass like sand through your fingers. Because those seconds, they're building you, brick by brick, second by second, into someone unstoppable. Growth is not some magical transformation that only arrives when the stars align. It's easy to act when you're inspired, when your heart is racing with purpose, when your thoughts are sharp and your path feels clear. But those moments are gifts, rare, fleeting, and often unreliable. If you rely on inspiration to carry you, you'll only move when the wind is at your back. And the truth is, the wind won't always blow your way. So real growth demands something more. Discipline. Resilience. A decision not once, but over and over to show up regardless of how you feel. It's in the late nights when you could rest but instead choose to finish. It's in the early mornings when your body aches, but you rise anyway. It's in the distractions you silence, in the temptations you resist, in the moments where you choose the hard thing, not because you feel strong, but because it matters. That's growth. It's when you say, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. I don't have the energy, but I'll take one small step. I'm overwhelmed, but I won't give up. Because those are the moments that shape you. Not the easy ones, Not the picture-perfect mornings or the motivational highs, but the silent battles you fight when no one is cheering. The invisible choices that no one else will ever see. That's where transformation takes root. Not when everything is going your way, but when it's not, and you refuse to break. So don't wait for the perfect mindset. Don't wait for clarity or comfort. Do the work when it's hard, when your mind is restless and your heart is weary. That's when it counts. That's when it matters most. Because that is what real growth is made of. Discipline is so often misunderstood. People hear the word and think of punishment, of restriction, of suffering for suffering's sake. But true discipline is none of these things. It is not a cage, it is a key. Not a burden, but a bridge. It's not about making life hard just to prove you can. It's about choosing what's worth doing. Because when you begin to live with discipline, everything changes. You stop waiting for motivation like it's a miracle that may or may not arrive. You stop gambling with your future by postponing effort until you feel ready. You silence the seductive voice that whispers, later, tomorrow, when I'm in the mood. No, discipline interrupts that cycle. Discipline speaks with a firmer voice. Now, today, even if it's hard, especially if it's hard. Discipline is not about force, it's about focus. It's not about suffering, it's about choosing a higher path when the lower one is so much easier. It's about doing what needs to be done not just when it's fun, but precisely when it's uncomfortable, boring, or invisible. Because that's where greatness is born. You see, greatness doesn't make a grand entrance. It doesn't arrive with trumpets and applause. It doesn't glow under stage lights or parade through crowds. Greatness is grown in silence, in early mornings when no one is awake to see you grind, in lonely nights when you choose the work over distraction, in ordinary seconds that don't look heroic at all, but are. It's in the decisions you make when no one's watching, when you could let it slide but don't, when you could cut corners but choose to do it right, when you could quit but keep going. Discipline is the reason you get up when you fail. It's the reason you start again when the world says stop. It's the steady fire behind your persistence, not a flash of passion, but a quiet, unwavering flame. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, engaged, accountable, consistent. Because every moment you choose discipline, you're proving to yourself that you are worthy of the life you want. You're stepping closer to your own potential. You're building something that no one can take from you. And over time, that quiet, consistent effort becomes unstoppable. It becomes character. It becomes confidence. It becomes legacy. So remember this. Discipline is not about making life harder. Every time you say no to the effortless path, you're saying yes to something more meaningful. Yes to your future, yes to your purpose, yes to your potential. Because growth doesn't come wrapped in convenience. It's buried under discipline, layered in repetition, and disguised in unremarkable days that, when strung together, create something extraordinary. You may not always feel like you're making progress, but every deliberate step forward, no matter how small, is a declaration, I'm not giving up. That step, however hesitant, however slow, is the victory. Because discipline isn't a race. It's not about how fast you go. It's about where you're headed. It's about direction, not velocity. As Confucius wisely said, it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. That's what discipline teaches us. That still moving, even when your pace is measured in moments, is better than standing still in fear or falling backwards into comfort. Discipline keeps you grounded when motivation fades. It holds your hand when doubt begins to shout. It's the quiet internal compass that says, You're still on the path. Keep walking. And yes, there will be days when quitting feels easier, when the effort doesn't seem to be paying off, when your progress feels invisible to the world and barely visible to yourself. But those are the days when discipline matters most, because that's when you build the deepest strength, the kind that can't be shaken by failure or slowed by fatigue. Every time you resist the urge to give up, every time you take even the smallest action toward who you want to become, you're laying down a brick on the road to mastery. And one day you'll look back, not at one grand moment that changed everything, but at the thousands of quiet seconds where you chose to keep going. That's what defines you. Not speed, not ease, but unwavering direction. Every second that passes is not just time ticking on a clock, it's something far more sacred, an opportunity, a doorway, a challenge wrapped in stillness.
And that choice, that response, that is who you are becoming. Not in theory, in practice. You do not become strong by thinking about strength. You become strong by choosing action when comfort tempts you. You do not become wise by waiting. You become wise by reflecting, learning, acting. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard once wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." You cannot wait until everything makes sense. You cannot sit on the sidelines watching others pursue their lives and wonder when your moment will arrive. Because it already has. It's right now. It's always now. So don't wait for permission. Don't waste your energy wishing you had started sooner. Don't watch from the outside while others build, risk, fall, and rise again. Instead, ask yourself, what would it look like if I showed up fully, right here, right now? What if I stopped postponing my potential? You don't have to take a leap, but you do have to take a step. Because life does not reward intention, it rewards movement. And every second you delay is a second you've surrendered, not to fate, but to fear. So step in, step forward, say yes to the moment. Say yes to growth. Say yes to responsibility. And when the next second comes, because it always will, face it again with open eyes and an open heart. That's how you become. Discipline is not just about effort. It is about design. It is about shaping your life with purpose, not leaving it to drift in the tides of impulse and emotion. You must discipline yourself, not as punishment, but as a sacred act of devotion to your own potential. Train your mind not only to think clearly, but to see the long game, to resist the seduction of comfort in favor of something enduring. And that choice, that response, that is who you are becoming. Not in theory, in practice. You do not become strong by thinking about strength. You become strong by choosing action when comfort tempts you. You do not become wise by waiting. You become wise by reflecting, learning, acting. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard once wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." You cannot wait until everything makes sense. You cannot sit on the sidelines watching others pursue their lives and wonder when your moment will arrive. Because it already has. It's right now. It's always now. So don't wait for permission. Don't waste your energy wishing you had started sooner. Don't watch from the outside while others build, risk, fall, and rise again. Instead, ask yourself, what would it look like if I showed up fully, right here, right now? What if I stopped postponing my potential? You don't have to take a leap, but you do have to take a step. Because life does not reward intention,
It rewards movement. And every second you delay is a second you've surrendered, not to fate, but to fear. So step in. Step forward. Say yes to the moment. Say yes to growth. Say yes to responsibility. And when the next second comes, because it always will, face it again with open eyes and an open heart. That's how you become. Discipline is not just about effort. It is about design. It is about shaping your life with purpose, not leaving it to drift in the tides of impulse and emotion. You must discipline yourself, not as punishment, but as a sacred act of devotion to your own potential. Train your mind not only to think clearly, but to see the long game, to resist the seduction of comfort in favor of something enduring. Still, it will come. Not all at once, but surely. Not easily, but deeply. Because you made a decision, a quiet one, perhaps, not shouted, not shared, maybe not even noticed by the world around you, but a decision nonetheless. To rise, to grow, to move forward, even if that movement is slow, shaky, or small. You made a decision to live with intention, to stop coasting through time and start shaping it instead. You decided that every second matters, not just the grand ones filled with clarity and energy, but the ordinary seconds too, the ones spent showing up, trying again, pushing through. In those seconds, those unremarkable, overlooked seconds, they add up. They become your life. Because time does not ask what you meant to do. It only records what you chose. The philosopher Heraclitus once said, "Character is destiny." And what is character, if not a sum of every decision you've made in the shadows, in the quiet, in the resistance? Your destiny isn't written in a single moment of inspiration. It's shaped in the repeated choice to continue, even when it's hard, even when it's thankless, even when nothing seems to change. Because the truth is, growth is not a moment. It is a way of being. A decision made second after second to honor your potential, to reject stagnation, to fight for a future that aligns with who you know you could be. So no, it won't come easily. It won't come quickly. But it will come, because you decided. And in that decision, you chose yourself. Again.